What industry is struggling way more than people think? Story 1. I've been a professional video editor for the last 12 years and have never gone more than a week without a job. I've made stuff for many of the country's biggest brands and have a solid resume. For the first time in my life, I've been submitting resumes every single day for the last 4 months and have not had one interview. It's tough out there right now. Fingers crossed my luck takes a turn. Story 2. Live music. People see big concerts happening and assume live music is doing pretty much as well as it always has. Not true. Small and medium-sized venues are struggling hard. Local bands are struggling hard, and small to medium-sized touring acts are struggling hard. People don't go and seek out live music like they did 20 years ago. Small live music bars with built-in crowds of regulars who would always show up to check out the band of the week used to be commonplace. Today, they are very rare. Story 3, veterinary medicine. I just got out. The average career is about 5 to 10 years before getting out for techs and assistants, etc. Emotionally, it's taxing, not just because you're dealing with dying dogs every single day, but because management are all business people nowadays and don't know or give a damn about medicine and blame you for not hitting quotas or overspending on supplies or overtime. Pay is low, especially considering student loans taken on to be a doctor or have a specialty. Not enough people are going into the field for the above reasons, and those who are don't stay. Suicide rates are some of the highest by trade. We all know someone who has taken their own life, including me. I won't go into specifics for respect, and I don't know any vet med worker who isn't in therapy, self-medicating with alcohol, getting too stoned to feel any more, with weed, or a mix of all three. This is just a brief list of problems. Story 4. TV film. I work in the industry. Production is down 7% worldwide. North American production hubs such as Los Angeles, New York, New Mexico, Atlanta, Toronto, and Vancouver have been dead since the strikes of 2023. Fewer commercials being shot as advertisers turn to influencers to sell their products. Streaming doesn't make money, linear TV is dying, and box office is literally hit or miss, which is why it's a string of reboots and sequels as studios are afraid to spend big on new IP only to have it fail. They go with what's familiar. People claim they want the original and then either don't go see the original or it gets reviewed for something stupid and never gets a chance. Hundreds of thousands of industry tradespeople like me, who aren't millionaires, have been out of work for over a year, and no one cares if we lose our jobs, and many are rooting for it. Story 5. One industry that's struggling way more than people think is the publishing industry, especially print media. With the rise of digital content, social media, and free online news, traditional newspapers and magazines are finding it harder to compete. Print circulation is declining, and ad revenue has shifted toward digital platforms like Google and Facebook. Even with digital adaptations, the industry is dealing with shrinking profits, layoffs, and struggle to balance quality journalism with the demand for quicker, more sensational content. It's a tough time for a lot of publications trying to survive in a world where people want instant access to everything. Story 6. The cycling industry. Bike makers ran out of supply during COVID demand, and then when supply returned post-COVID, the demand wasn't there. And the part most don't know about is the industry was already on the downfall before COVID as theirs changed. Folks wanted e-bikes, not actual bikes. Plus, cyclists willing to drop $10,000 on a decent piece of carbon are being killed off by lazy, texting, sleepy, or just evil car drivers. Because of this, some cyclists are skipping across bike spectrums from road to gravel to mountain biking, but the mega high margin road bike demand is on the decline. This downfall has swallowed up multiple brands already and threatens the entire industry as folks just straight up aren't biking as a recreational hobby anymore. Sad to see. And coincidentally, this is happening while the human race's greatest cyclist ever, Pogačar, is making the entire professional circuit, made up of the greatest cyclists in the world, look like JV amateurs with how effortlessly he pedals. It's truly inhuman what he's doing and quite a spectacle to behold, and if not for cycling's past dopers like Lance Armstrong ruining the sport for decades now, it would absolutely bring more folks into cycling. But alas, the doping has ruined any interest. Story 7. At least in the US, the shipping industry is struggling. US flagged ships are required to be manned by US citizens due to the Jones Act of 1920. The behemoths in the industry like Maersk and Crowley are lobbying to abolish this so they can switch to a foreign crew and cut costs on labor. Ever since COVID, the resurgence of pay for working in the Gulf, and the new wind farms, it's much harder to find reliefs while out in the deep sea. This is making people stay home longer, and ships can't always meet the standards for their minimum shipping requirements, and they fall behind schedule. If we can't get more bodies out at sea, it's very likely the US will end up outsourcing this entire industry, and thousands of Americans will lose their jobs. Story 8. Truck dealerships and repair shops. Repairing a truck costs thousands of euros, and buying a new truck costs six figures. Bigger companies go for bulk orders to save money. Sole traders and smaller companies import their trucks from cheaper countries. Bigger companies have in-house mechanics so that they avoid the repair shops. The smaller ones insist on the cheaper repair or temporary repairs. It is extremely difficult to find mechanics, even in areas with high unemployment. They are paid very well by local standards, but they're on call, and it can happen to be called at night for a roadside intervention, no matter the weather and day. In smaller workshops, it's a family member who's the mechanic on call. In bigger workshops, it's either an immigrant or a local who has not completed compulsory schooling and started working at 16. Both categories have in common that they wouldn't be able to find, in most cases, another job with similar pay and benefits. Even then, and even in big Western European cities, Paris, Milan, etc., it's very difficult to find and retain staff. As a result, the dealerships are usually run by the manufacturer themselves, or by companies who run several dealerships at once. The manufacturer tends to run the dealerships in the most profitable areas and to actively compete with private workshops. Story 9. Accounting and firefighters. The Big Four accounting firms aren't getting anywhere near the number of applications or talent they used to, and have moved some basic jobs offshore. Small firms cannot find anyone under 35 who wants to do public accounting. Younger people who get accounting degrees are going straight to industry, getting MBAs, and going more on the business side. Fire departments across the United States are struggling to recruit. The post-9/11 glow of the fire service has worn off, and new recruits weren't even born in 2001. About 28,000 people took the most recent New York Fire Department Firefighters exam. About a decade ago, around 70,000 people took the exam. Story 10. College adjuncts, lecturers, even assistant professors. And if you want to explore the depth of undercompensation for people with advanced training in their tough ass field, just regular ass teachers, people learned how hard it is to manage even a few children that are their progeny during COVID. For the most part, teachers of all stripes are big empaths who care about giving to the world and doing this work. But educators are hella smart, dude. I live in a big major metropolitan area, and the college instructors I know who are not tenure track have a lopsided compensation for people sending their own children to learn from them. Absolute travesty. I run circles around people on how much I know about a lot of stuff, and my colleagues do too. And if they don't have a well-off spouse, they are bartenders and servers, or have another hustle even though they are freaking brilliant. There are definitely some, how the hell have you made it this far? Colleagues I encounter, but that's like 10% maybe. Like, we have a shortage of educators because it is simply not worth the money for what you give so much to.